So welcome to Boxing Media Hub. You are here with Joel Ender and Sugar Free. And we are going at it again. Another fantasy fight. Two guys in their primes. Tyson Fury versus Lennox Lewis. Tyson Fury, 34 fights, 33 wins, 1 draw, 24 knockouts. Lennox Lewis, 44 fights, 41 wins, 1 draw, 32 knockouts. Let's have a little chat about Fury. Fury, yeah, I think it's fair to say the great night against Klitschko, the technical boxing in what they called his backyard.
I have a question. Is this not Mike Tyson?
Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
Oh. Okay. I really picked that up wrong. But anyway, keep going.
That's all right. Tyson Fury. Vladimir Klitschko, which he won on unanimous decision back in 2015. Bleed neck. Seems an age ago. Luke was only little. And it was, that was the standout, wasn't it? For me, that was where he arrived on the scene. Incredible performance, outboxing the boxer that people didn't think he could do at that point. I think that's my opinion. Jump in. And then obviously he had that fight, and then he made his long-awaited comeback after a multitude of things on 2018, which he came back, delivered. But then the other standout fights for me, obviously Wilder, December 2018, the first fight where he rose like the Undertaker. Incredible scenes, wasn't it? To be fair. And then we had Otto Wallin, which for me is madness still. We've seen eyes that have been cut that have been given the L for. And what was it? 47 stitches to the right eye, I believe. Fury had. I don't know how he got through it without it being called off. That, my opinion.
His eye was as bad as Vitaly Klitschko's was versus Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, and that was stopped.
Yeah.
Wilder, then he came back for the second one, February 2020. The second fight was great, wasn't it? Dominant. Very dominant. And then obviously the third, because we had to have a trilogy, even though Fury had pretty much won the first two, which was October 2021. And that was more exciting than the second one. If you were kind of just that boxing fan watching two guys go at it, I think both guys were dropped. I think Fury was dropped twice. I think Wilder was dropped 3 times, if not more. It was incredible scenes. And then obviously after that, we had the dreadful White performance by Dillian White. He turned up because it was the mandatory and, off White that day. And then, Chisora, should we say, which was the pension fund. Yeah. And I think Derek would agree to that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And then we go. Did anyone want to add to Fury?
No, that's basically
that's pretty much Fury.
Apart from his loss to John McDermott, but I mean,
and his loss to the UCAD as well. He took an L against them.
That wild boar.
Oh, that wild boar.
Anyway, Lennox Lewis. Career highlights, there's loads, not just fantastic. For me, October 1993 against one of my favorites, good old Frank. great performance. TKO round 7 victory against Frank. The Battle of the Brits, as they pretty much called it. Battle of Britain, I think, wasn't it? Brilliant. But then Ender chucked this in for me before we came on. The highlights almost for Lennox Lewis are the losses that he then converted to getting the wins. The Oliver McCalls, the Holyfield fights, and for me, I remember watching it as a kid. I think it was the first time I swore in front of my dad was April 2001 against Hasim Rahman, when, wow, the shot that came from nowhere that everyone went, this is unbelievable. Lennox has just been put on his ass. It's incredible. But then to come back again.
Well, to be fair to Tyson Fury, he did avenge his defeat to John McDermott.
He did, yeah.
I'm not so sure he's ever avenged UCAD, but it's touch and go.
Anyway. And then the fight with Mike Tyson, it obviously wasn't the Mike Tyson in prime. Not the energy drink. We're not here to promote that. And then obviously Vitaly Klitschko, as you say, stopped due to the cut in round 6, which was 2003, Lennox Lewis's last fight. Incredible.
Don't say things like that. It makes me feel so bloody old.
20 years ago, Ender.
Stop. I can't do maths.
Ender was 30. Ender was 30.
I was 23.
So, yeah.
You were 20 what? 20, 21? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
What do you reckon then, lads? Tyson Fury versus Lennox Lewis in their primes. Who wants it? Ender? Do you want to take
I'll go first. Okay. So people can call me biased here, and they will anyway, and I don't care. But for me, the one thing you have to admire about Lennox Lewis is he has avenged all his defeats. And he fought people, when they were at their prime, fought Klitschko at his prime. Okay, it might be a little bit late for Tyson, but that's no fault of Lewis. Yeah. He didn't wait for him to get old. It was just that's when they were clashing. Everyone, and he took on all comers, and he took on, everyone that was put in front of him, and he answered all his critics. Now, there was one or two setbacks that Hasim Rahman Jr. knocked down, and the other defeats, but he always went back and he avenged them. And he's a huge man. He's a giant. Like, I know they say Tyson Fury is a giant, but I think that's a little exaggerated, his height. But I mean, he is a very tall man, don't get me wrong. But how graceful Lennox Lewis can be as a boxer at that height and weight, and people go on about, Tyson Fury's movement. I'm like he pulls his head to the left and they're all foaming at the mouth on BT. Like Lennox Lewis was far more skillful than that. And so I will say, if you want to accuse me of bias, that's fine. But I still think Lennox Lewis will have too much for Tyson Fury. Can he get him out of there? I don't know, because the one thing you have to give Tyson Fury is his chin, and
chin.
And he got up from that knockdown. I don't know whether it was the wild boar or what it was, but he did get up from that knockdown. So I can see him being knocked down by Lennox Lewis, and I can see Lennox Lewis being knocked down by Tyson Fury. But at the end of the 12 rounds, I think the decision will go to Mr. Lennox Lewis. Whether it's unanimous, well, I think it should be unanimous, but whether it's a split decision, I do think Lennox will have too much over the course of 12 rounds. His performance will be better. Again, it'll be a close fight, and he could see the canvas, as could Tyson Fury. But over 12 rounds, when the judges hand in their non-biased scorecards, it should read the name Lennox Lewis on the bottom of that page. That's it for me.
There you go. Luke, do you give more credit to Tyson Fury?
No.
Woo!
I think the best Fury we've seen was the one in the second Wilder fight where he came forward, a marauding, basically just a wrecking machine.
But he said he was going to do it, and he did it. Yeah. He warned Wilder, didn't he?
Yeah, but we'll say this as well, and Wilder proved it in the third fight. Something was off that night with Wilder in that second fight, and that did. I think it. Sorry, an alarm there. I think that it did complement Fury a bit. But you can't take it away from him. What he did to Wilder was spectacular.
No one else has done it.
In the third fight too, if you want to believe Fury, he didn't even train for that fight, but we all know he did. But also
he probably trained on alternate days, not training today and training today.
when I say if you want to believe Fury, that just don't ever want to believe a Fury. But so he again, another great fight against Wilder, back and forth. Anyone could have won that fight. I don't agree with saying he has a great chin. I think he has a great powers of recovery.
Yeah, that's probably more correct, actually. Yeah, no, because
I think he's definitely, like, he got knocked out in the first fight against Wilder. He just happened to get back up again. And I think, against Lennox Lewis, who's so skillful, has great jab, great footwork, Olympic level before he even turned pro, and then with Emmanuel Stewart, that Kronk style that he mastered. He had that, bang, big right hand, left hook, step back, another right hand. Just so skillful. I think he would have won the jab exchanges with Fury early. And I think he would have stopped Fury firing forward at him. And by then,
I think Fury's got good footwork as well then, Luke?
No, I don't. I think he's awkward because of his size. And I think his size is his best attribute. Like, if he was 6'2", he'd be nobody.
So you think size and how he uses his weight, to be fair, as well. He uses those attributes.
If Fury was a middleweight, he'd be nothing.
Exactly.
Whereas if Lennox Lewis was a middleweight, he'd still be a top fighter because he's got those fundamentals, great skills, everything else. And I think that matters. I think with Lennox Lewis, he'd jab upstairs, he'd jab downstairs. Fury, for the first time in his life, might get a bit frustrated himself, Now, could he knock Lennox Lewis out? Of course he could, because we've seen it twice with Lewis where he was caught cold. But I think if we're talking about the best versus the best version, I think Lewis stops him. I think Lewis gets him out of there in about 10 rounds.
When did we see Lennox at his best then? In what fight would you say was prime Lennox Lewis?
I would say in his first rematch after getting knocked out. I think that was such a clinical performance. And he didn't put a foot wrong. And he knew he had to not put a foot wrong because he could get knocked out. I think when Lennox has that fear factor, that's when he switched on. Like, even against Mike Tyson, he didn't have that fear factor. And you've seen Emmanuel Stewart, there's that famous clip of him saying, you need to wake up, you're going to get caught with some stupid shit. And, that's because Lennox didn't think Tyson was a threat to him. Whereas I think if he went in the ring thinking Tyson Fury is a big threat here, he'd be switched on. I think he would get Fury out of there.
Yeah, be more cautious.
Yeah, exactly. But he lets his hands go. Like Klitschko, we talk about that Fury fight in Klitschko. That was Fury at his most awkward. Just, he barely boxed.
That was an awful.
Well, like we say though, he used his weight, didn't he, and his height advantage, and he smothered, didn't he? He
was less. I wouldn't even say he was good. I just think he was less bad than Klitschko that night.
Oh, that was such a bad fight.
Now look, Fury's proven me wrong now 4 times. Proved me wrong against Wilder. Proved me wrong 3 times. Proved me wrong against Wilder 3 times, and proved me wrong against Klitschko. So I don't think he'll get number 5 now if he fights Usyk, but he might. But I think Lewis gets him out of there within 10.
Oh,
okay, cool. Well, as I say, I'm with you, lads, in the sense of the outcome. For me, Lennox is one of the greats, as you say. The movement. Don't get me wrong. I like Fury's movement. I like his footwork, and I think he is very awkward. He is awkward.
Like his movement's okay, but it's nothing that they're celebrating it to be.
No, but just in my opinion, I think the footwork and the way he moves, he makes it a very awkward target to hit, even being a big guy. I think that's the thing that impresses me with him. I think it would be a close fight, and like Ender says, I think you could get that split decision because of the way Fury works. He makes things awkward and he makes things difficult. But as you say, technically, I think there's not many better than Lennox Lewis. Generally, I think across the board, Lennox just had the ability. Yeah, he had the losses, but like Ender said, he avenged all of them. And that is major credit to Lennox Lewis. You know, would Fury have wanted to go in with Otto Wallin again? Would he have wanted to have gone in against those guys where he thought, well, that was a bit cagey? Would he have wanted to have done that again? Yeah, he did that with Wilder, don't get me wrong. But was that a money thing as opposed to, you know, was that already the agreement that there was going to be the trilogy fight? You know, the deal.
Well, wasn't that was just because of a court order? Like he had to fight him.
Yeah, and Lennox just basically wanted to say, I had an off night and I'm going to put it right.
Yeah, and
he did. So for me, split decision, Lennox Lewis. I think it's going to be a really. I think Fury would make it awkward, like he does everyone. And he does have a game plan, and I think he sticks to it, doesn't he? And if he seems to be fluid in a fight, if something's not working, Fury will adapt as well.
Like he's not afraid to win.
That's where both guys are really good.
I'll give Fury that. He's not afraid to win ugly.
God.
But one thing, like, you know, that like that movement you're on about where he's shimmying and fainting. If you just step off, if you just disengage, all that is useless. You know, the whistle in the wind. Do you know? So Lennox would have those at that IQ. Do you know that ring IQ?
Oh God, yeah.
Like if you're in front of him and he's moving around, he's trying to get feints out of him. Lennox would just go on his bike for a few seconds and make Fury have to reset. And by the time he does that, he'd be in with his shots. I think it's good. It's a good matchup. Like, but
certainly.
Lennox Lewis to me is the second best heavyweight of all time. Not the greatest, but I think the second best on his day. You know, I think match for match, he'd beat nearly everybody.
Yeah. AFC always. Thank you very much for joining us, Lennox Lewis on points. So yeah, there we have it, people. Let us know in the comments, who are you going with? Tyson Fury versus Lennox Lewis. Personally, I don't think we're overlooking Tyson Fury. I don't think we're,
we've all given him ways to win.
As a generation thing at the moment, I think Fury's there. I think he's the guy at the moment, in my opinion.
Probably, yeah.
My biggest threat, and Luke might disagree, but my biggest threat to Tyson Fury at the moment is Zhilei Zhang. I think that guy is a real danger, and people are going to avoid him. People are talking about Zhang AJ. I worry for AJ.
I have to bounce.
Yeah, and I have to go too now. So.
What I will say is hit the subscribe button. Check out the rest of the content. Luke, thank you very much. Ender, thank you very much. And we will see you all soon. Until next time, have some of this.
Have it.